All right, welcome back to the channel for some new projects. If you saw my previous video, the Panther is gone, unfortunately, and the Talon is taking its place. But I started working on these not too long ago, about a month ago I started. So basically what these are is a lightweight, easy to build, nice looking FPV formation platform, or just regular FPV flying. I'm building two of them, one for me, one for my son. That's the other one over there, identical. So basically what I've already finished at this point is a lot. So it's not going to be like the T-38 build where I covered almost every step of the way. I built these on a work trip, so I didn't really film any of it. Very similar construction of the big T-38, using a little less wood because it's much smaller, but very traditional Depron style build, just box with material in the corners and then rounded everything off. The inlets on this one, unlike the T-38, are made out of Depron, so it's just a formed 3mm Depron skin. But the whole idea behind these airplanes was to make something that performed close to how the big T-38 performs, not only in its performance but in flight time. So these are going to be powered by 80mm fans, which I'll show you in a second. But essentially, I wanted a easy to build type of airplane, and I wanted to do a T-38, but basically a fun scale version, a simplified version of a T-38. And I've been kind of wanting to do a sport jet for a while, and I have a hard time kicking the scale habits. So I didn't want to do another scale jet just because you end up, well, me personally, I end up getting sucked into all the aspects of scale modeling, and I find it hard to deviate to simplify things. So in order to do that, I just kind of had to say it's not going to be a T-38, it's going to be sort of a T-38 sport jet thing. So anyways, it has some F-20 lines in it. Obviously the kind of back end looks like an F-20 with this little step here and a single exhaust, which is nice. The wing is more of T-38. The inlets are larger than a T-38 but shaped like a T-38. The nose actually looks more like a two-seat F5 nose than a T-38. And a lot of people will see an F5 and a T-38, think it's the same airplane. It's really not. They're very similar, but they actually are quite a bit different if you look at them side by side. So anyways, I kind of like added all the cool things I like about the T-38 and the F-20 into one airplane. So I like the F-20's flat nose that has like that like platypus nose on it. I like that, so I put that in there. This one's a little bit different. It's a little bit wider maybe. So it kind of has that F-20 nose, but then I got the T-38 fairing for the canopy. And I don't know, it's just kind of a mix of everything. So anyways, so I'm hoping that with the weight of these things being so light and everything else, that I can actually get really good flight times out of them. I'm hoping for just as good as a T-38, so 8 to 10 minutes at cruise power settings and 6 to 7 with more spirited flying. Very similar construction, like I said, to the bigger T-38, just simplified and lightened. So because it's smaller, you don't have to get as carried away with some of the structure. So, but very similar. It's got a 2-pound white foam core for the wing with 3mm Depron sheeting, which is exactly the same as the T-38. This only has one spar instead of two, and the wings are glued on to avoid having to deal with wing attachment, adding weight and complexity. And it's small enough to where I shouldn't have to worry about putting them in the car. I had both of these in a small rental car, so anyways, they're not too bad size-wise. But basically, I wanted to be able to build an airplane that my son and I can both fly together, but that would fit in the car nicely, would be big but not too big, not so big that it's cumbersome and kind of a pain in the butt to take to the field. And this isn't bad, but it takes up a lot of the car. So you can't bring a whole lot, and because it's Depron, it's fragile, and you can't just be stacking stuff on top of it and things of that nature. So anyways, not like this beast. But anyways, so that was the whole idea, was to make a fun, fast, long flying, good flying sport jet that looks like a T-38 or an F-20, F-5 family airplane. So I think it's looking pretty good. So as of right now, as you see them, they are 1 pound, 11 ounces, and that's with 4 coats of water-based polyurethane. I am not going to cover these in vinyl like I did the T-38. These will be painted. So it's pretty close. Right now I just need to kind of prime it and sand it and then do the paint job. So these aren't going to be like super nice, like really pretty airplanes up close. They're going to be cool, nice, but it's Depron. It gets dinged. It gets messed up. So you just kind of got to know when to quit, when good enough is good enough. So these are meant to be fun flyers. We're going to fly them a ton. They're going to get banged up, unfortunately, so I'm not going to get carried away. So anyways, size-wise, it's a 43-inch wingspan, and it's about 69 inches long. So compare that to the BVM Maverick I have right here, which is an old sport jet from the 90s. Very similar size. Maybe not as much girth, if that's how you want to say it, but wingspan's much less, obviously, but very similar in size. But anyways, yeah, so let me show you what we're using for power here. So we're going to be using FMS fans. These are what are found in like the E-flite, F-16, some of the FMS stuff. So these are really good fans, actually. They sound really nice, pretty efficient. Price is pretty cheap on them, so they should work really well. So I got those. These are the motors. So these are the E-flite motors. These are what are used in the F-16. So it's a 2100 kV motor. And if you have any experience with the E-flite jets, you can just beat on them all day. They're rock solid. You don't have to worry about the power system. And since I recently upgraded to the iX20, I'm going to be using some of the smart technology stuff, which I've been looking forward to using. So these are actually the 130 amp ESCs. These are what you find in like the Viper 90. So smart ESC, so I can monitor amps and all that stuff while I'm flying. These setups usually use a 100 amp ESC. They didn't have any stock, and I figured, well, I might as well just get 130s. These will actually accommodate a 90 millimeter, no problem. So, and even the inlets are big enough for a 90. I actually size them that way on purpose, just in case I want to put 90s in them in the future if the 80s don't seem to be enough. I think the 80s are going to fly them awesome, so I'm not really worried about it. But figured, well, might as well get a little headroom. This is actually the Viper 90 replacement ESC, so the power leads and everything are sized for that. But it should work out really well for our jets. So that's that. I don't have to worry about cooling or anything because there's a lot of overhead on the amps with these. And I'm looking forward to playing with the smart stuff. And then these are actually like replacement servos for the F-16. So these are digital. These are the Spectrum servos. So it's the 13 gram Metal Gear servo. So these are pretty good servos and plenty good enough for the loads that these things are going to see. There's no full flying tails or anything, so should all be pretty lightly loaded flying, control surfaces. So yeah, so we're going to be using a lot of E-flite stuff. I'm excited about my new radio. Just scratching the surface on what that radio is capable of doing, coming from the DX18s, which are a pretty basic radio with lots of mixing and stuff that you can do, but none of the other really cool features like the iX20 and the iX14 have. So anyways, stoked on that. Let me get one of these turned over so we can look at the underside. All right, so what I have here is I have a 1/2-inch carbon tube spar and a plywood plate for the gear. It's like a 1/4-inch plywood that attaches to the spar, so it kind of becomes one unit. Helps keep the spar on the wing, helps keep the landing gear block in the wing as well. It's kind of a dual purpose thing. That's how I did the T-38 and this T-38 as well, and it's worked out really well in the past, so I figured this should work just fine. So the tails are 6mm Depron, obviously balsa edged for stiffness and for strength and all that, and to have a good mounting surface for the hinges. These are like a 1/4-inch carbon fiber tube, and basically I haven't really cleaned this up in here yet, but basically that's like a 1/4-inch plywood former that the spars come into. You can see the vertical spar there, and then the horizontals. They're all glued in. I need to clean up the glue a little bit, but like I said, very simple construction. You can see how it's built, just built like a box. The ducting you can see up there is pretty sweet. So I have to make a tube that goes from that to the fan. But yeah. At one point I actually considered making these kits. I don't know that I will. It's a lot of work to do something like that. And quite frankly, I just don't have time. So we'll see. But probably not. And we haven't flown them yet. I'm sure they'll fly great, but they might not. You never know. So anyways. So that's our new project. These things should be a lot of fun. I think they're going to fly really well. Get you a far away shot here so you can see the plan form a little bit better. Up close, it kind of distorts things. So anyways, that's the airplane. It's pretty sweet, super lightweight. I'm hoping to keep these around 7 pounds or less with a 7,000 milliamp pack in it. So I think that's totally doable. Shouldn't have any problem doing that. So yeah, look forward to sharing the rest of this build with you guys. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And look forward to more content with these new jets here as we explore FPV flying some more with my son and I. I'll be doing some training with him on formation flying. And haven't 100% decided on paint schemes. I was going to do them as Thunderbirds so they kind of match the T-38. But I also considered doing it like this with the Air Force markings and the high visibility orange. Just for formation flying purposes, might make it kind of easier to see each other. So anyways, yeah. Hope you guys like this. We'll see you in the next one. For once we start putting servos and power systems in these things, they're almost done. I mean, there's not a whole lot left to do. So I'm hoping to at least get one of them flying within the next few weeks. So anyways, look forward to more video content on these, and we'll see you in the next one.